welcome to another edition of the Crit Doc. This is the last few laps of the Dare to Race Cat 3 Criterium in Ontario, California. We're approaching 7 laps to go, and there's a break of about 6 or 7 riders off the front. So these 3 riders actually shoot off and try to bridge up to the break. Normally, I'd be trying to sit in and wait for a sprint, but I actually have a teammate up in the break. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I can see if I can ride with some guys up to the front, or if anything, discourage the chase. So I missed the initial acceleration of those 3 riders, so I wait till someone else is moving up to bridge. So this big orange rider starts attacking to get into the first chase group, and I figure, well, he's a good wheel to follow, nice big draft. I try to give him some encouragement because he's making the move to bridge up to the chase group. But at the same time, I also don't want to be sticking my nose in the wind. So if he wants to pull me all the way back to the chase group, that's fine by me.
Good job, bro.
As we bridge up to the riders, keep in mind that we are actually not bridging up to the break. We're bridging up to the chasing group. The break of 6 or 7 riders is still off the front. What's interesting is that they were away for quite a bit of the race, and nothing was getting organized behind. And as the last couple laps were coming to fruition, even though we're not that organized, these kind of attacks and accelerations are actually slowly bringing that break back towards the peloton. I still don't want to stick my nose out in the wind too much, but eventually, since we're not really moving forward, I figured, okay, I'm going to have to start making some pulls. And then some other guys are thinking the same thing as well. So we're now 6 laps to go. And now it's time to try to see if I can chase these guys down. Again, my whole goal is not necessarily to try to bridge up to the break, but since I have a teammate already there, I'm going to try to see if I can ride with these guys and have them get me back into the front. Again, some of these other riders have the same idea as well. And initially, when the break went, I was thinking, well, at least I have a teammate up there, and I can try to see what I can do back in the field. But following these little moves, we really were bringing those guys back. As we approach 5 laps to go, here's the break. So we're now all at the front of the race. I see my teammate Jason, try to give him some encouragement and try to let him know I'm there, and we're going to have to try to regroup and figure something out. So with 5 laps to go, now it's everything is back together. Grupo compacto, as they say. One of the interesting things about racing in the Cat 3 field is that I think riders have a better sense of knowing their strengths and weaknesses. So you have riders in the field who know they're not going to win a field sprint. So they're going to have to try to go early and try to figure something out. So even though we're all together again with 5 laps to go, we're only together for a very, very short time. This next move is a great example of a good attack. Everyone's back together, the guys at the front are tired, and this guy attacks right into a corner. This young kid in the blue sniffs it out immediately. He latches onto that wheel. That's such a great move. If I had better fitness or better legs, that would have been the kind of move I would have liked to make, but I'm swallowed up by the rest of the peloton, and I'm kind of happy staying there. I'm not complaining about the draft, although I do have to be a little bit careful keeping my head swiveled on correctly to avoid making any silly mistakes or going down. So this next time up to the line, it's going to be 4 laps to go. as I look ahead, I see that little group of 3 rounding that corner, and they have about 7 seconds on us. With 4 laps to go, honestly, I'm feeling pretty tired. I'm thinking, okay, there's 3 riders up. We can maybe catch them, or maybe not. And if not, well, it's not like I have enough energy to try to chase them down anyway. I'm going to try to save it for the sprint. I can also see that there's a couple big teams represented that don't have any riders up in that front group. So I figured, well, I'm with a bunch of teams that are going to want to chase this down. Let's just make them do all the work. This next lap is more or less kind of like a regrouping, like a resettling. Trying to figure out what the next move is going to be. But as I see the impact riders, these guys in orange, come to the front, I realize, okay, they may not have anyone up in the front, and if they're going to work to chase this down, it would be good to be right behind them and just kind of let them do all the chasing and just be right there, ready to pounce, just in case we catch up to those front riders. The speed is picking up now. We're more or less riding in single file, and for me, this is not the time to move up. It's going to be harder to move up when everyone's going hard anyway, so this is the time to just sit in the wheels and see what happens. Okay, we're going to approach the start-finish line, and once we get to the line, it's going to be 3 laps to go, and I'm still wondering what it is I'm going to do. One nice thing about having a teammate is if they initiate something, then you can key off of them. My teammate Jason attacks up the right side, and immediately I know, okay, his move looks like it's going to make it up to the break. Now I know what I can do. I can try to discourage the chase and make it harder for people to catch him. So immediately I get to the front, ish. Not first wheel, I don't want to chase down my own teammate, but second wheel. This impact rider is doing a lot of work, and I'm going to just benefit off of his effort and just stay in the draft. And everything that you hear about having a good efficient pace line, like staying close to the front, not surging, taking pole when you need to, I'm going to do the exact opposite of that. Some of the riders behind me are yelling at me, say, hey, pull through, but I'm not going to chase down my own teammate, and I know Jason can win out of a small group, so I'm fine with him staying away. Eventually, when it looks like I'm going to have to pull through, I kind of give like a couple lazy efforts, but again, this is slowing down the chase. The other impact guys are wise to it, and they immediately just pull around me. They know that I'm not going to work off the front. So here I am sitting in about 5th wheel, and I'm thinking, okay, I have 1 bullet, let's just save it for the end. However, if I need to remember that I should always keep aware, no matter what situation is in the race, because you never know what will happen. This rider attacks up the right side, and if I had the legs or the reaction time, that would have been a great move to follow. His move was really effective and strong. And if I could have ridden with him to get up into the front, we could have had 2 riders in the lead group. And that would have been advantageous for us as a team. But at that moment, I didn't have enough brain cells firing to think about that strategy.
I think they have a guy up there.
So I was initially thinking that Impact had a rider up in the break, which I was initially surprised why they had 2 guys in the front trying to pull, but later on I found out, and it made more sense, that they did not have anyone in front. So with 2 laps to go, I'm telling myself, okay, stay near the front, but not on the front. give yourself some options. If Jason's up there, he can win from that group. If we come back together, I'll try my best in a field sprint. Okay, as we approach the line, this is going to be the bell lap, last lap. So even though there's already 6 riders up the road, and the best we can get out of this group is 7th, I still realize that people are going to want to jockey for position. This last lap still could get a little hairy, so I still need to pay attention and be aware of what's going on around me. And as the bell rings, you can see people are starting to move up. I make a rookie mistake here, scrub too much brake in the corner and have to go wide. I was actually lucky not to go down there because there's a manhole cover right there. So I tell myself, okay, I need to chase down anything that looks promising so that I can make sure I'm in a position to either sprint or, again, discourage any attempts at bringing the brake back together. When I see this SBW rider move up the left, I realize, okay, that's exactly the type of move that I should follow. Not necessarily work with, let him do the work, but just stay right there. I honestly thought somebody was going to come around this rider because as we round the 3rd to last corner, we actually see the riders in the brake, and they're right in front of us. So I figured someone from behind is bound to want to pop around and contribute. But nobody did, and this dude was riding strong. He must have been in like the 5312 because he was like pedaling 65 RPM. But again, nobody came around him as we approached the finishing straight. Once I look up and ensure that the brake is going to make it all the way to the line, and I see that he starts his sprint, I immediately pop around him. I stick my head down, put it in the hard gear, and give a really good effort all the way to the line. I win the field sprint for 7th. I try to find my teammate Jason. I was hoping he would have won out of the break. He ended up getting 3rd, but 2 Don's riders in the top 10. Not too bad. The race ended up being pretty fun and dynamic. So until next time, this is the Crit Doc, and I hope to see you out at the races.